Hello, hello, hello. We are here on day 14 of 21 for 21 days of celebration. We have one more week left to go, so we are getting towards the end. I hope you're still with me. Today, today I am grateful for, how do I say this? My evolving relationship with food. That's like the best way that I could come up to come up with to say this. Um, so I was talking to someone yesterday, and I was kind of in an area of town that I had been in, but like not as far down that road. And she was telling me, oh yeah, this is here, that's down the street, all these things. And she said, there's a Wegmans there. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I thought, eh. And then I told her, said, yeah, I think I might need to stay away from Wegmans. And she was like, yeah, I do too. I love their carrot cake. And I said, yeah, I love carrot cake too. I also love their pecan pie. So pecan pie is one of my favorite desserts. Carrot cake is also one of my favorite desserts. I have always had a sweet tooth, and I used to have a lot of shame around that. Growing up, I I liked sweets. I did, and there was a time where some things happened, and I went from actually, let's just say I gained some weight. I gained some weight. Some things happened. I gained some weight, and then there were several efforts to help me to get active to lose the weight. But I had a lot of shame around my body and shame around liking sweets, wanting sweets. I mean, who doesn't like, ice cream and cake and cookies? So I had a lot of shame around this because I, at a young age, had kind of a weight fluctuation that was really, I'll say it was hard to deal with because I went from having one lifestyle and doing certain things, active in, certain sports and activities, to not being able to do those anymore and having to find new activities and, things to do. So it was a bit of a shift, and there was a lot of shame, there was a lot of judgment from myself and from others in what I ate, how I looked, how I conducted myself, all sorts of things. And this made me very self-conscious. It gave me a lot of anxiety and fear around, what is so and so going to say if I eat this in front of them, or what is so and so going to say if, they see me drink this, or, not eat that. So there was a lot of just a lot of angst around eating at a young age. Um, there's actually, I mean, I can laugh at this now because it's kind of ridiculous, but um, I think this is in elementary school. Yeah, later years in elementary school. So I don't remember if we were moving. For some reason, we were moving furniture in my bedroom. So like either rearranging things, or I don't know what was happening. We weren't moving, that's for sure, but we were rearranging the furniture in my room for some reason. And I don't know how I got it, but somehow I had stashed Oreo cookies and Starburst under my bed. And I was terrified to have my little secret discovered because we were moving furniture and these things were in a plastic bag underneath my bed. So, unbeknownst to me, my dad had already discovered my little stash. I still don't know how he found this out, but he found my stash, and I was scared. I was just embarrassed because, who stashes snacks under their bed? Why does someone stash snacks under their bed? Why was I, so obsessed with these Oreo cookies and Starbursts? Um, so yeah, he kind of, I looked at him and he looked at me and he kind of smirked and laughed a little bit. He was like, "Go ahead, I already know." And, the 10-year-old me, 11, 12-year-old me was like, "Wait a minute, what?" How do you already know? So I don't remember if I had to explain myself or what happened, but I remember just the guilt, the shame, the embarrassment, the fear, the anxiety, just that feeling of not not feeling comfortable and then feeling guilty for, even doing that in the first place and not really understanding why or where it came from. But the relief for not getting yelled at for stashing snacks under my bed. So, and I've just always loved sweets, but have always been in a situation where, oh, well, Shannon's going to eat dessert. Go ahead, give her the dessert menu. Oh, well, I'm not going to finish this, so go ahead and give it to Shannon because she's going to, she'll finish it for you. And like that's kind of what I grew up with. So it became a thing, but also I ended up developing a lot of emotions and beliefs around food, what it meant, what it didn't mean, how I should conduct myself, whether it was okay to eat certain things, whether certain things would do have an impact on my body, negative or positive. And I really, really had these things stick with me from, like I said, a young age to one of, up until a few years ago, understanding how the body works and being a health coach, having, a kinesiology degree, having, personal training certification, like learning and understanding how the body moves and how the body works and how the anatomy and physiology work and, how food works with and in and for the body. There's a certain understanding that you have from that kind of science perspective. And then more recently, layering on kind of the energetic perspective with that of the emotions that I had, like I said, that I formulated growing up around food. What did that do to me in more than just a food setting? What did the beliefs that I built up about myself, about others, about food in general, what did those do to and for me? How did they limit me, if at all? How did they expand me, if at all? How did food play a role in my life in other lifetimes? Because that's a thing. So, learning how to, one, open my perspective to these things and then ask different questions around these things and gain tools to, you know, inquire and then shed the layers and clear and ask for help when I need it, has really, really, really reshaped the way that I interact with food. And one of the things that I realized was the influence of others, not only on, kind of the guilt, the shame, the judgment, like those things, but, the things that we like, the things that we eat, because, you grow up in a household and you eat what mom or dad cooks for you, or you eat, just what's in the refrigerator, what gets put on the table. And sometimes our bodies don't actually want those things. Sometimes our bodies don't react well to those things. Sometimes they do, but we don't actually have a say in that because we aren't the ones putting the food on the table. So being able to have different experiences and open up, the variety that we are exposed to for food, and being curious and willing to try new flavors or take them out to understand how things do interact with your body. One of the things that really, really surprised me, this was like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, was my body it didn't want chickpeas, it didn't want peanut butter, and it didn't want oatmeal. Now, I love oatmeal. I will eat oatmeal every day for breakfast if you let me. But it was actually making me bloat. My body didn't like it. Peanut butter. I will eat peanut butter every day if you let me. Give me some Reese's peanut butter cups and I am one happy person. But my body actually didn't want the peanut butter as much as I was consuming it. And I stopped eating those things daily and I realized that I wasn't as puffy. Like the inflammation started to go down. But I loved these things. I still do. I still love these foods. But even growing up with them, because that was what was in the house or that's what I love, so that's what was, purchased in the grocery store run, my body wasn't reacting well to those things, even though my taste buds were like, oh my God, give me more. So adding that layer on and actually saying, okay, body, I see we're not responding well to these things. What can we respond well to? And then opening up the exploration of, okay, well, is it this? Is it that? Does this taste good? Does that not taste good? If we add this to this, those types of things. And the third layer that has really, 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 really just transformed everything, just from a pure health perspective, is understanding that food is medicine, that we can use food as medicine, and that we need to be aware and mindful and educated on what's going into our food, but that the way that we eat and the things that we put in our bodies can help our bodies heal. Now, when I received the diagnosis in 2012, I was told, don't change anything. Keep trying to exercise. Diet and nutrition is not going to help you. Managing your stress isn't going to help you. Just take the pills and you'll be fine. Lo and behold, when I started making food changes and paying attention to not necessarily macronutrients, but more like minerals and vitamins, that is actually what was one of the big turning points for me. The energy work was a major turning point, but food and nutrition was actually the other major turning point for me. So learning about juicing and the different ingredients that can work well with juicing, different supplements. So the impact of different vitamins and minerals on your system. And the different combinations of those that work well and don't work well together, to then help muscle growth, to help nervous system regulation, to help antioxidant absorption, to help I'm losing my words, but you get my point. So to help all of these things and the impact of toxins in the environment and the toxins in our food, how that plays into system regulation and system, chemicals and hormones and things, how we have disruptors in our food, and, and so on and so on and so on. So all of these things have shaped my relationship with food, releasing the guilt, the shame, the judgment, the anxiety that I had as a, 10-year-old on, and realizing that I can shift my beliefs. I don't have to have those emotions and the judgment, because it doesn't belong to me in the first place, so they can take that back. And really, really honing in on what feels good, what tastes good, what would serve my body in this moment. And if it's a piece of pecan pie, then that's what it is. Plain and simple. Because our bodies do like sugar. When I do a lot of energy work, I have to consume sugar. So it's just one of those things where you have to understand how your body works and how things ebb and flow. Now, what's interesting, and I'm talking about sugar, 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 what's interesting is when I came back from Africa, I was eating a lot of sugar. I actually didn't eat a lot of sugar when I was over there. Well, the first couple weeks I did. Well, no, the first week I did. And then the second, like the month that I was in Victoria Falls, I didn't barely eat any sugar. And when I came back, like the next 3 weeks, so like my re entry, I craved sugar. It was like in energetic overload. So I like craved sugar. So I was eating a lot of sugar. And now what I'm doing for the month of June, so I'm doing 21 days of gratitude, but I'm also doing 21 days of no processed sugar. So I've completely eliminated processed sugar from my diet now. If something's already in, I'm eating fruit, and I'm eating vegetables, and I'm eating, other things, but I'm not adding any extra anything or purposefully having, cake or cookies or, whatever. So I'm doing that because I felt that my body needed it and because I realized I didn't need all the sugar that I was eating. I was eating my emotions, I admit to that, and that's okay. It's okay. Like, I'm not judging myself, I'm not making myself wrong for it. I know exactly what I was doing, and it's fine. But I couldn't say that and do those things and be okay with it a year ago, 2 years ago. Definitely not as that 10-year-old. So I'm grateful for the evolution of my relationship with food because it gives me more peace, it gives me more freedom. I feel more empowered to make decisions that can support my body and what it needs, and then help others do the same for themselves. And that feels good. It feels good because although it's been a kind of a self exploration and trial and error always, it feels good to know that I'm here and I can continue to learn more and continue to improve because there's still several things I haven't figured out yet. So there's just more pieces to the puzzle. So I'm grateful for this journey because the more that I learn, the more I pass on to you and others, and the better I can feel. And then the better all of us can feel, and then we can live happier and live fuller lives and pursue our dreams, and everything can be better. So, yeah, I'm grateful for food and my evolution with food today. So I'm interested about your food journey. If you have something similar or not, I'm still very curious to hear how you're doing with food. And if it's a little rocky, I want to hear that. If it's going swimmingly, I would be interested in hearing that and how you got to that point. So I look forward to hearing, and I will see you tomorrow.